everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on bogradio.fm. We have a very special guest on the show today. In the suspense drama Undefiled, this actress, who recently received many nominations for Best Supporting Actress, perfectly depicts the anguish of the deceived wife, Amber Jennings. She believes that by playing this role, marriages would be restored. You can also see her in the gripping crime series Vindication, the acclaimed short My Dear Aunt Sally, and the faith-based feature I Am Gabriel. You can see that on PureFlix. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, please welcome the very talented actress Stephanie Peterson. What's up, Stephanie? How are you?
Not much. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Maurice. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. We were talking before we came on live how I had just loved watching you in episode 2 of season 1 in Vindication. One of my favorite episodes of that season. 2 and 5 are my favorite, and that was just a tremendous episode in so many different ways. And you did a great job as the wife in that episode. Is very good. It was very good. It's very good. But we want to talk about Undefiled. You were nominated. You had many nominations, in fact, for Best Supporting Actress. That was a very, very riveting film, and it was so I guess needed in the Christian community, a film like that, surrounding the issue of pornography. Give us a little bit of background for those that have not seen Undefiled about the film.
Yeah, so Undefiled is really a baseball drama, and it's about a man who is kind of finding his identity in his career, and in the meantime, he finds himself trapped in the addiction of pornography, and that leads to many different relationship breakdowns in his life. And there's, they show the relationship between that and sex trafficking victim and things like that. And my role is as his wife, Amber Jennings. And so I am playing the betrayed spouse in the film to kind of highlight that facet of this kind of addiction.
Yes. And it's something that a lot of this subject, as well as a couple of others, or maybe I should say many others, I'm being too nice, where the church doesn't want to address, don't want to talk about it, and would rather keep it in the dark and behind closed doors, which is exactly why these problems exacerbate themselves and become worse, because no one wants to really talk about it, deal with it, be open and honest. And this film, directed by Matt McCauley, is very open and honest about the issue of pornography, abusive relationship between a father and a son, and how that affected that son in his later life. Just the inappropriate conduct of the father in that film, and that father was played by Michael Patterson, who is the antithesis of the character he portrayed.
He's such a teddy bear in real life. Yes,
he nailed it. He got the Best Supporting Actor Award at the International Christian Film Festival in Orlando, Florida, a few weeks ago. Deservedly so. Mike and I are very good friends, and we had the opportunity to be in a film together in 2016 called Love Different.
Yes, I love that film.
And so that's where I met Mike, and we've remained friends since that time. But you played opposite the main characters in this film, played by Bradford Haynes, I believe. You played his wife in this film, and here you are in a situation playing the role of a wife that has to deal with multiple issues, one of which being the pornography issue. What was your mindset going into this role as Amber Jennings?
Yes, so going into this role, I was very set on showing her as real as possible. She's obviously being hit with this betrayal. This is new to her. Someone who's kind of trapped in the addiction of pornography, like you were saying earlier, has probably been hiding it for a long time, but they have been aware of it. It's their experience. Whereas the betrayed spouse, which is often the wife, when they find out about it, it's all coming at them all at once. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant of betrayal.
Yeah.
And so she is having to experience that kind of dissonance in the marriage that she thought that she had versus what she's now discovering is happening. And, with Amber, I had to really make sure that I was grounding her. I didn't want her to just be the angry, bitter, yelling, stomping around wife, because it's usually so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
There's usually hurt. And so I wanted to make sure I got all facets of that betrayal coming out. So I really had to spend time with that idea of being just completely and utterly blindsided, thinking your marriage problems were just about being a baseball widow or something along those lines. And then all of a sudden your partner is basically betraying you at every turn, and you just have to all of a sudden process all of that at once, and you can't. It takes time.
And it's very interesting, your portrayal, because it was you exhibited a lot of patience with frustration and anger. Like you'd had enough, but you maintain a great degree of control as Amber Jennings dealing with the situation. I think a lot of men, and I don't know how you would respond to this, a lot of men that are addicted to pornography, once caught, which that does occur in the film. We're not going to give away too much, but a lot of men feel like, but I'm not cheating. And the reality is it's the same thing. Your opinion of that?
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I think in our culture, there is this subtle lie about pornography that it's just affecting you.
Right.
And it's just a one person situation, when we know that's not true. We know, the person on the other side could be a consenting adult, but oftentimes there's also sex trafficking or brainwashing and things like that going on there as well. Yep. And yes, it breaks down so many of your relationships. Certainly if you're married with your wife, as you saw in the film, he has a breakdown in his relationship with parenting his children, and he, even with his peers at work, it really affects every area of his life. And I felt like the script really did that well without being heavy-handed. They really knew how to pull that off in this film.
And I think the issue of pornography, the film shows how it can bleed into other major issues in life. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I want to talk about Bradford Haynes, though, the main character as Mitch Jennings in this film. Bradford did a great job. First of all, let me say, I thought he was very, very good as Mitch Jennings. I love the way he portrayed this man, with the kind-heartedness, the struggle that was going on within a tortured soul, really.
Yes.
And you had sympathy for him, even though he was manifesting some bad things or some negative things.
That's so good.
You kind of resonated with his pain or struggle that was going on within him. And what was it like working with Bradford?
Bradford was great to work with. He is an amazing actor. He comes fully prepared. He was very invested in this story. Of course, he was there the entire shoot time. His family was there, his wife and children there. Super lovely to be around. And being with him in a scene, he's a very giving actor, so it was very easy to work with him. And you knew that whatever you were going to put out, he was going to take and run with it with his character. So it was great to work with Bradford.
One of the most striking things about the family, I felt, was the son's torrid relationship with Bradford's character, Mitch Jennings. That was a very volatile relationship, as they almost came to blows a couple of times. The young man that played Mitch Jennings' son, what was his name?
Jaden. Why am I blanking on his last name? Jaden is so talented. I am blanking on his last name, but he is amazing, and he is such a sweet kid. And I guess not a kid anymore. He's a wonderful young man, an amazing actor. He very much appreciated his performance.
He was amazing. I mean, the fire coming from that young man was slightly unnerving, because it was so authentic, his rage.
Yes, and he is certainly not like that off camera. So it is amazing to see him turn that switch on And I mean, like you said, the interaction between Bradford and Jaden working together to be that father and son, they both brought their A game. And you saw that distancing when you're a father and then you're raising a teenage son, you already know inside you as a father are failing in this area and that. And then you're trying to raise a son and you don't even feel good enough. And that's a theme of the movie, of course, with Mitch's dad from his time he was in childhood saying, you know, you're worthless, you're not good enough. And he believes that narrative throughout his life. And he's almost putting that back on his own son now.
Exactly. And so, you know, I like I said, I was in the film Love Different in 2016, and I have an idea of how it goes during, you know, a film or the filming. And I'm just wondering what it was like, because a lot of times, you know, you have certain scenes you have to do multiple times.
Yes.
And I was wondering the scene that I'm referring to where it became very, very hot between the two, where they almost seemed to come to blows.
Yes.
Did you guys have to do that scene multiple times?
Barely. The actors and the filmmakers on set were truly God-given, Maurice. I don't know how else to say it, because we had such a high level of talent between the DP, because, you know, that's often the case too, is just camera focus or camera movement. It was so rare for any of our crew to have any stumble, so rare for our talent to have a stumble. When we were in the scene, no one was distracting, everyone was working. It was incredible, honestly. And this feature trying to be made in such a compressed period of time.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was a couple takes, you know, 3, 4, if you're doing a big moving scene. It was just amazing. It's powerful.
There were so many good actor friends of mine in this film. And it's certainly good to meet you, Stephanie, but Sharon Lanier in the film did a great job along with Michael Patterson. And, you know, I'm just looking at them and I'm just going, wow, this was amazing. And like I said, I think sometimes when you're filming, it's not necessarily that you've messed up. It's that the director, and you mentioned you guys are trying to fit a time frame here, but sometimes the director's like, I want to do 4 from this angle, and I want to do 3 from here. What I did a scene with Jen Goss in Love Different, and that's how it ended up. One of the most critical scene of the film, and I had a lot of lines in it, and I had never done a film before, so I'm thinking, you know, I got to nail this. I'm with Jen Gottson. I'm with Tommy Ford from the TV show Martin. And I got Anthony Hackett also. And he's the director. And I'm like, I got to get this right. And
that's a lot of pressure.
It was a lot of pressure. And I nailed the thing. And they're like, okay, let's do it again. I'm like,
and you're thinking, but I just did it.
What? Yeah, we probably shot the thing 10 or 14 times. I don't know. But thank God I was able to nail it every time. I think I had one little hiccup during that stretch. But I'm like, wow. So anyway, that's how filmmaking goes. And that's why I asked you that question, because it was so volatile. I'm like, I'm wondering how many times you guys had to do that one.
Yes, and they really didn't have to escalate into it. It was amazing.
Yeah, and one other thing in that scene, Jen Gottson is a tremendous actress. I saw Jen cry authentic tears just before we shot it. She and Anthony Hackett were praying together because they both had to cry during the scene. And I listen, Stephanie, I tell you, I've never seen anything like it before nor since. They prayed themselves to the emotion.
Wow.
I mean, I could not believe that. Thank God. Well, I was the bad guy, so I didn't really have to cry. But, you know, I kind of had to get there, you know, but I didn't have to go to the extent that they did. And I could not believe that I witnessed that. And Jen Gottson, just a tremendous actress. And there's Jen right there.
An amazing person.
Jen, you're amazing. There's no question about that. That was an honor for me to be in that film with you. Hey, Gene. So we're talking with actress Stephanie Peterson on the Maurice Brown Show on bogradio.fm. And Stephanie was nominated, many nominations she received for her role as Amber Jennings in the film Undefiled. I highly recommend folks that you go out and see Undefiled. You can see Undefiled right now on Tubi. It won't cost you anything other than sit through a few commercials. You can watch it there. You
Yep.
better watch it now, because eventually it's going to cost you. I think you can get it on Prime Video at a cost, and Apple TV. This film talks about pornography, folks. And let's face it, in the Christian world, there are many men addicted to pornography in the church. In fact, a survey says 68% of men that go to church are addicted to pornography, and 50% of pastors are addicted to pornography. So I highly advise you go out and see Undefiled. They talk about it squarely. And the beautiful thing about it is they never cross any inappropriate lines.
That's absolutely
Okay.
true.
Thanks, Chit. I appreciate it. Yes, Undefiled on Prime, Tubi, and Apple TV. And yes, Stephanie, you were great in your role as Amber Jennings. There's no question about that. I think that, again, the way the film dealt with such a tough subject matter, Matt McCauley did a tremendous job.
Oh, yes. And I love, this is what's so interesting to me about Undefiled. So many filmmakers, and this is totally a wonderful and good thing for them to do. They're filmmakers, and they're thinking, how can we make a film that tells a great story, tells the gospel, gives a great message? Whereas Matt McCauley and then executive producer Dr. Kevin Wisman, clinical psychologist, sat together and said, how can we make a ministry tool? Let's make a film. It was kind of flipped on its head. And so from the beginning, Undefiled was meant to be a ministry tool. And at the end of this film, if you've been poked by this issue or stirred up as the Spirit would do in your heart to seek out that next step of seeking some recovery resources, they even have connections to an 8-week video series through Pure Desire Ministries, a very experienced ministry house. They have online community groups basically for recovery through Boulder Recovery. So I love that they don't leave you hanging, because this is not a recovery situation you want to go into lightly. You don't want to go into it alone. The spouse who has been betrayed should not be alone. They should have support. And I hope that people hear that if you're the betrayed spouse, you're also so worthy of resources and care and love. And so many churches do have wonderful recovery programs, but many don't, because they don't have the resources for them. And so I love that they are making sure that that hole is plugged, making sure if that's your issue, that you can find a safe community that's experienced with dealing with this sort of sex addiction or pornography, constant use, or being the betrayed spouse even.
And the scary thing about it, and thank you for sharing that, Stephanie, the scary thing about it now is women are starting to become addicted.
Oh, sure.
To pornography.
This is certainly
a lot of
an
people
issue for women as
would
well.
not think that, but it's the numbers are starting to increase for women as well.
Yes.
There's a great disparity, but it's starting to grow. So it's an issue in America, and unfortunately, it's an issue in America's church.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I love, how the ministry tools and the film are directed at Christian people, because if God is calling us to holiness, then this is one area of our life, one of many that he's called us to submit to his Spirit, right? And to his ways. And he is a good dad. He wants to lead us through. He is going to hold our hand the whole way through this. I'm not saying that road's going to be short or easy. It often is not. No road of recovery is, but you're not alone. And that's the best part about our faith.
That's the best part about our faith. And also the beautiful thing about Jesus Christ is he's about grace and mercy. The law has been taken out of the equation. Right. There's no judgment here. As America loves to say, no judgment, but the reality is he doesn't judge you. He's come to save us all. Yeah. And it's a free gift. We have to accept it. And he does the changing.
Yes.
You just have to receive it. He does all the changing within you. As you alluded to about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit comes in, takes over, and as you allow yourself to be indwelt by the Holy Spirit, he changes you.
Yes. I really reflected on 1 Corinthians 15 in regards to this film, and this is about the resurrection and the resurrection to come. And, you know, part of that passage is, oh, death, where is your victory? Oh, death, where is your sting? We have a future resurrection. We have a hope. So even in any kind of recovery, any addiction that we're going through, we have a hope. We don't have to lose sight of that.
We do not. We do not. After series, hey, how's it going there, brother or brothers? We are going to play the trailer for
Yeah.
We've been talking about, I've been running my mouth. I want everyone to watch this trailer. For those of you, once again, that are not familiar with Undefiled, this is the trailer to the film we've been talking about. Check it out. We'll come back. We'll talk more about it later.
How old are you? Who is this guy? He knows what you saw last night, and he wants you to stay quiet.
They raped me, Mitch. And then they sell it to porn websites.
Same guy that met up with the girl. He's got connections.
Him.
What is it you said you always wanted, huh? One step away from the show. It's a real deal.
Congratulations. I heard on the AAA coaching job. They're lucky to have you.
I need help.
One time something good happens to me, this is how you act.
I'm trying to figure out a way to feed our children.
I'm good at solving all kinds of problems.
Do what you want, Jennings. You take her off the street, another one will be right behind her.
How can I find the girl? Be careful about what decision you make.
You didn't see the way that girl looked at me. Seriously, old man. You're so full of crap, I can smell it on you, Jennings.
I'm a nobody. And I'm nobody's hero. There are some more important things that I need to focus on. I got you.
Powerful film. Powerful film. Jean Selig Winger also says you did an amazing job. She did, Jean. I mean, there's no question about that.
I love that trailer because it shows too that this is a fun movie to watch in a lot of ways because it is a sports drama. Who doesn't like a sports drama? I love a baseball drama. And so if you like that action-oriented movie, this is a good one to go see.
Andrew Jacob Brown of After Series. Listen, look, Jacob, you've got to see this film, dude. You've got to see this film. I guarantee you, it'll knock you off your seat there. You'll be on pins and needles the entire time because it's a subject matter that, quite frankly and honestly, the Christian world needs to be much more willing to address. So now the film, I had to watch it a couple of times. And matter of fact, I forgot Leanne Johnson, also a good friend of mine. That's in that.
So good.
Leanne was very good. Leanne is a fearless actress.
She is.
She's fearless. I love the way she attacks roles, and she doesn't worry about how she's perceived, whatever the role may be.
Right.
She can do any role, and she does it for the glory of Christ.
Yeah.
Everything she does. That's what initially drew me to Leanne, and following her, I've had the opportunity to interview Leanne. She's fearless. I just love her attitude as an actress. But yet Leanne is in that film. She does a great job. And Bradford, again, his humility as Mitch Jennings, he pulls that off so well, a tortured soul dealing with this issue. And here's the other thing about how pornography can affect other avenues in life. The film brings out sex trafficking as well.
Yes.
And I guess we don't think about this enough, Stephanie, or even at all, that sex trafficking actually is a conduit for pornography.
Sure. There's so many ways that pornography is occurring, and that's certainly one of them. And it may not be even in the traditional way that we might think, having not experienced it. Someone may not be captured somewhere. That may happen as well. But a lot of that sort of thing is a little bit of a trickery. It's a bait and switch. Someone's taking care of you, then they say, hey, you have to pay this back now. There's a little bit of brainwashing in some of these circumstances. So the sex trafficking, these people still, in a lot of ways, will say they're consenting, but they're consenting because they have been manipulated in so many ways. It's heartbreaking.
The film brings that out, and there was a statement made in the film by actress Kaylin Elizabeth Wood's character, and she said, "You did this to me."
Yeah.
And so what that is saying, in effect, is all those that watch pornography, pay to watch pornography, the people that just simply who think they're on the outside looking in are actually on the inside, because they're the reason that sex trafficking exists.
Right. You got to take away the source.
You got to take away the source. You got to take away the consumers.
The demand. Yeah, that's what I meant. The demand.
and I said, wow, that is such a tremendous statement. She just cut right to the chase. She said, "You did this to me."
Yes.
And then when you look at the numbers here, the indulgence of viewing pornography has led to an estimated global profit of $150 billion through sex trafficking. And how important, Stephanie, was it for the actress Kaylin Elizabeth Wood to be brave enough to perform this role?
Callan was also fearless. She completely, she gave more than she was asked to give in her role. She was willing to, she wanted the viewer to see the pain of this woman that had been manipulated into this relationship where she was being sold. I don't want to give too much away about the film, but she really did. And the filmmakers, I know, took good care of her and set many firm boundaries. And there were some things that she was like, listen, this needs to be displayed or people can't see what is really happening. However, like you said earlier, there's no nudity. Nothing is an extended, salacious moment. There's nothing like that in the film. I think it's still appropriate for, say, a teenager that you've already had conversations with about this kind of situation or pornography or sex trafficking. Definitely a conversation starter. That's what's great about this film. In so many ways, as you've said, Maurice, all the different facets that this addiction engagement with pornography can touch, even, his father wound, Mitch's father wounds, all those things can be conversation starters. And even if not right after you watch the movie, a few weeks down the line, if you watch it, say, with a teenage child or with a neighbor or a friend or coworker or whatever the situation, you can be like, hey, remember, I just ran into this idea, when we were watching that movie 3 weeks ago, I remember, this issue. I hadn't really processed that. What do you think? We watched a movie together. It's an easy way to be unified about a conversation.
Yes, 100%. Mike Patterson says, let's go, Stephanie, winner of Best Supporting Actor at ICFF. What's up, Mike?
Mike's the best.
Stephanie, I got to tell you, too, I like what you said about the film not showing anything inappropriate. And that is what I love about that kind or this kind of Christian filmmaking. Vindication is a great example. A crime series created by Jared O'Flaherty deals with hard-hitting subject matter without crossing any lines.
Right.
And I think there's some pushback. It's probably subtle. I don't think it's major, but there has been pushback within the Christian filmmaking community for whether it was an episode or just the whole idea of Undefiled, directed by Matt McCauley, even addressing pornography. Yes. And I'm thinking, I listen, we are not Hollywood here. We don't overindulge in the negative of what we're talking about. We're adults. We get it. We know what's going on. There are things that you don't have to show. There are things certainly that you don't have to say for us all to understand the problem.
Yes. And the filmmakers did such a good job with this. I really do feel like they handled it so well while saying everything they needed to say. So major kudos to Matt McCauley and the whole Light of Life team. Absolutely.
A major kudos to Matt McCauley and the McCauley family. I think Daniel, and I'm forgetting the other name there. I think it's going to be Matt's son, but it's a father, son, and a grandfather, father, son Trio.
got it. Yeah, his son was the composer for the film.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Musician.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So just a tremendous effort. It was done with great tact, and the subject was addressed. And it's a problem that's going on in our society right now. And it starts at a young age. I mean, Mitch Jennings was exposed to it by his father at the age of, I guess, 10 or 11. And he was actually encouraged by, an irresponsible father to do so.
I think that's so common. And even if someone doesn't pressure you or expose you, then it is all around us, Maurice. I mean, you have to have a smartphone in your pocket, you have to put such strict boundaries on your own devices as though you're a child sometimes, just to make the phone a place that you can keep your boundaries in place, your own personal boundaries. And that for sure comes into play with pornography. Even if you're on any social media, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, as soon as you see something that is inappropriate, you're like, how do I change all the settings on this? Because hello, it's one swipe away, right? From getting you down that rabbit hole. And so it's all around us.
It's a rabbit hole. I love it. That's exactly what it is, Stephanie. One click can change your entire life for the rest of your life. And I have a nephew who's going to the 9th grade. He's going to be in high school this year. And he's going to be an All-American field goal kicker down at Port St. Lucie, Florida. And his parents, he's going to high school. He's not allowed to have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And some people think that's extreme, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dangerous, this technology today.
Yeah. We all have to make our own choices. It's whichever choice you're making, how do you make it as safe as possible? You know yourself, right? We all know ourselves. We know what is going to be a slippery slope for us and what's not. And one thing for me personally, and I hope that everyone hears this as well, is I have to live in the light in my church community, in my community group, with my local safe community. And if you haven't found that yet, I say keep looking, because there is a safe community of Christian people who want to encourage you to confess your sin and repent and find a way to fight it. Because with a community, it's so much easier than feeling like you're alone.
You got to have friends. That's why it's so important to be a part of a small group if you can. I mean, it's nothing like surrounding yourself with people that you can share your innermost thoughts with, and then know that it's going to stay within that group.
That's right.
Because we all need it. We all need a friend or
do.
several friends that we can confide in. Mike says, preach, Stephanie. We got to put boundaries. It's all around us. Even legit sites will pop up. Something in the name of what,
sure.
Mike, I'm glad you said that, Mike, because you can't even get on the internet. You open up your laptop and read the Bible without these inappropriate ads popping up.
And they're targeting you. They're targeting you.
And I'm like, I mean, is there no sanctity to be found anywhere, Stephanie?
Right. I wish there were. There only is in the arms of Jesus, Maurice. That's the only place.
I'm like, can I at least read my Bible for it? Just
I know you're trying to go to the Word.
So anyway, it's a great, Mike. I love that you said that.
Yes.
I mean, it's all around us. We've got to be setting up safeguards, and that we've got to be plugged in to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. And our relationship with Christ, it just starts there. It starts there, Stephanie, and it ends there. Our daily walk and relationship with Christ. That's where it starts, and that's where it ends, and everything in between will follow. You know, but it's just this war, this spiritual war, Stephanie, has gotten so vicious that if we don't take our relationship with Christ seriously, we're not going to make it. I mean, we already know that, but I mean, like literally not going to make it out here. It's going to be dragging ourselves by our claws if we are not trying to live in the light. That's for sure. There's no question about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with actress Stephanie Peterson on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on bogradio.fm. And Stephanie was nominated on many counts for Best Supporting Actress as Amber Jennings. Great film. The lead role is played by Bradford Haynes, who plays Mitch Jennings, struggling baseball player, trying to get to the bigs. In fact, I believe Bradford was actually a pro baseball player in real life.
Yes, and that I think that really shows in the film too. The baseball scenes are so fun to watch because baseball is just fun to watch, and then you're up close and personal in this film cinematic way. You've got the locker room banter between the guys, and then that escalates it to the peer pressure that goes back to the pornography. But then you've got there's the villain that you love to hate, Zach Sale. So you have all of your features that you love in a good movie, a good drama. All of those are present in this film. So the baseball, Bradford's excellence with the baseball just adds to it.
He looked like a natural too. That was another thing too that I noticed that drew me to the film as well. It's like he just looks like a natural.
Yes.
He just looks like a real ball player.
Absolutely.
And I did not know that he actually had played.
Yeah, it shows, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, he's really good. What was the actor's name that played Gibson?
Gibson. It was Gibson. The you love to hate.
He was the guy that was responsible for the girls being available and the sex trafficking and all of that.
Yes, that's Zach Sale.
Okay.
Yes, the one who's getting up in Mitch's face all the time, and they're always threatening each other. He is an amazing actor and such a nice person in real life.
He killed it. I'll tell you right now, he had me convinced he was a bad dude.
Oh, absolutely.
He was very good. I loved he stood out as well to me, Zach Sale. And I come to find out, I believe Matt McCauley was telling me that Zach and Bradford are actually good friends.
Yeah, I think they are. And then Corey Kay's one of the baseball players as well. He also was a pivotal role in this because he was kind of an engager with pornography and the sex trafficking.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mitch's friend, kind of a sympathetic character in this story. So your heart really goes out to him in a lot of ways, and you can kind of see yourself going down his path. So I think he's also a very important character.
And what is his name again, Stephanie?
Corey Kay's. I can't remember off the top of my head what his baseball player character name was.
I'm glad you mentioned him because he did very well.
Yes,
he did very well. He did a very fine job as well, and it should be duly noted. I like the way that he portrayed that character, and you had sympathy for him, even though he was completely off the rails. You knew he was a good guy that had gone down, as you accurately stated earlier, he had just gone down a rabbit hole.
He totally did.
He went down a rabbit hole and couldn't get out, and you had a certain degree of empathy and sympathy for him because he was really a good guy.
Yes, and that's what is so great about this script is you do see more reality in a lot of these characters. They're not all villains because they're doing something sinful. We're sinful people, and we're not all villains, right? And so you see this person, and you're like, dude, I probably would be friends with this person, and not knowing that he has this secret life that has literally taken him over.
You know what, Stephanie? I'll say this as well, and it's very sad when you think about the reality of it. There are a lot of good people out here in this life that are caught up. They've gone down rabbit holes.
Absolutely.
And they can't get out, and some will never get out short of the saving grace of Jesus Christ. And because a lot of these people, Stephanie, will not ever come to that realization that they need Christ, a lot of good people are going to end up in hell. And I heard that statement the other day. I think it was yesterday. Yeah. And I went, whoa, wow, that's scary.
Yeah.
And it's really, really sad.
Yeah. And if you feel like you're one of those people, you're just caught up in some darkness, whether you intended to be that way or not, I would recommend reading 1 John. There's so much in 1 John about darkness and light. And once you live in the light, in my interpretation, you've confessed this to other people who can help you. All these lies start to crumble, these lies that, oh, I need this to exert some sort of power or whatever, even if it's not pornography. Oh, I need this job so that I can prove myself, to my dad, or I need all this money for this or that reason. Those lies you're telling yourself when you confess those things in your heart really start to completely erode. But the enemy wants to cut you off. He wants to dump shame on you so that you're separated from loving, caring people who love Jesus, and let you just keep believing those lies. That's when he thinks he has you.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that as well, Stephanie. It's like, listen, you know, if you're out there, you're watching this, and you don't know Christ, if you're stuck in something and you can't get out, the saving grace of Jesus Christ is available to you.
Yes.
If you want to call right now and you want us to pray with you, we'll do that. But you can be freed from whatever affliction you may be involved in. If you're out there watching right now, I'd love to pray for you. And you can contact me at Maurice Brown Comedy Hour at gmail.com and do that, because that's what it's all. We need Christ.
That's
and,
right.
And Undefiled is a film, once again, directed by Matt McCauley, is a film you can see on Tubi, Apple TV, or Prime Video. Deals with an affliction called pornography. And it's a problem, and a major problem in America and even in America's church. But you can escape. Christ didn't come to judge you and condemn you because of whatever affliction you may be involved in. He came to free you.
That's right.
He came to free you, and you have to allow him to do that, and he will. You don't have to fight. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to, just, dig your heels in. Or you don't have to do anything. Just accept the free gift. Let him come in, and everything changes. Stephanie Peterson, I want to thank you for being on. I want to ask you a couple of things before we get out of here about your acting. And we're talking about remembering lines, or I don't think I said that. I was talking about doing a scene multiple times. But when it comes to remembering lines, what's your process?
Oh, gosh, that's interesting. I try to remember the arc of the story and hope that the lines kind of fill in that arc. But I am one of those. I was theater trained. So in theater, they train you to be word perfect, because you're handling words of very, very old, dead, famous people, like Shakespeare. And so they're like, do not touch any of the words. Do not replace an A for a the. So I try to be as word perfect as possible. But the more important telling is the arc of the scene. And I do work on memorizing the lines. I work on them without feeling, without intonation at all. More rote work of just repetitive, just freeing, breathing, just saying. Okay. But really what I'm paying attention to more so is what is, in this case, Amber, or whatever the character is, what is their deepest need right now in this scene, and how are they trying to get it from this person? Okay. And I try to what we call raise the stakes. So if it's, I want to get this key from them so I can borrow their car. No. That's not life or death. Let's go and figure out what is life or death. Why must I have this vehicle, or I cannot leave this room? So I try to always continue to kind of raise the arc of the story.
What is I like that. I like that. Everyone's got their methods of approach. Yes. I do acting here and there when I can. Yeah. But my main trade is stand-up comedy. So I love that. There, you're doing your stand-up, and it's all about feel and vibe. You cannot know your jokes verbatim. You don't remember them like that. It's all in ideas, and then you kind of roll with it. And it's so I said that to ask you this. What do you prefer? Theater, live theater, or acting in a film? Okay, I'm going to answer that with a tiny story from childhood. So what made me want to be an actor is, do you remember back in the day, you would watch a movie on cable TV or whatever, and immediately after would be the making of that film. And you would see a 40-minute or hour special on exactly behind the scenes what they were doing, and you'd see the cameras, you'd see the special effects, you'd see the actors, you'd see them in costume but goofing off, and oh my gosh, I was fascinated by movie magic, and that is what made me want to be an actor. So I trained as a child. I did musical theater, and I loved that. It was like my little safe space as a kid. And I trained in theater in college, but as soon as I could hightail myself over to the film world, I did. And I don't want to leave, even though I'm maybe
at some point when my kids are grown, maybe I'll go back to theater because it's so magical as well. But I love being on set and I love movie magic.
I love it. I was curious because there are some actors that don't like live theater.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, because you don't get redos. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like, you're out here now. Hey, you got to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
Which is why I mentioned stand-up, because
stand-up. Oh my gosh. Yes. You've got to feed off the energy of the audience, I imagine.
Oh yeah. You got to feed off everything, you know, and it's just you up there on a tightrope. It's not like improvisational comedy where you have like 4 or 5 other people that you can fall back on if you know, things aren't going well. It's just you. It's just you out there.
It's you and a microphone. That sounds like the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, well, first of all, if you don't love doing that, you'll never survive.
Oh,
because it's brutal. It can be really, really brutal. But I wanted to ask you that, Stephanie, because I've heard some actors, or I've watched an actors roundtable with some seasoned actors who've been in some really big films talk about their experience in theater. And I think one of the actors mentioned that on nights when they would do their show, that the I guess whoever the director is of the play or what have you would have like a bucket on the side for guys that people that would get sick. And
oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So I never realized that theater could be maybe as intimidating as it seems to be for some actors. Like I said, there's some actors that don't touch the stage because of the you know, that live effect deal. And so I was just wondering what your mindset was on it. But
and you definitely meet both. You meet theater actors who do film here and there, but it's not their passion. They just want to be on the stage. And there is something special if you're a stand-up comedian, you know, there's something special about being on stage in front of all those people and hoping to please them and doing anything you can to make that happen. So they're both such special opportunities.
It is a great rush of exhilaration just before you get up there.
Yeah.
It is a great rush. And it's, I tell my wife, it's like just before I grab the mic, it's like being Evel Knievel before he jumps over 20 cars. It's like, oh boy, here it goes.
Yeah.
But you got to love it though. I love the feeling. It just feels really, really good. Stephanie, thanks for being on the show. Stephanie Peterson on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on bogradio.fm. You've gone from the short film My Aunt Sally to Vindication, Echo Light, I Am Gabriel to a Best Actress nomination, multiple Best Actress nominations in Undefiled. What's next on the horizon for Stephanie?
Oh man, as you've heard my repertoire of things, maybe some comedy is next after all of this heavy stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah. You're a good enough actress to pull it off.
Yes, I love the emotional stuff because I'm very connected to that part of myself. So I think that's why that is so much in my wheelhouse. And yes, right now, a big part of being an actor is waiting patiently on the Lord. And that's what I'm doing right now. But I'm always working. I audition every week, 2 to 4 times a week at least. And as actors, we hear a lot of crickets until we get that next booking. And so that might be the season I'm in right this moment. But I have so many great filmmakers in my corner and a great talent agent. And I know that God's going to bring the right next thing. In the meantime, I make little funny skits on my Instagram at Steffi Pete sometimes. And yeah, I just, like I said, I work every week at my craft so that I can be ready for when I do book that next thing.
Undefiled picked up a Best Picture win at the SoCal Film Awards, 15 Festival Award nominations at the Red Letter Awards, which is coming up September 21st in Tennessee. I believe that's Lebanon, Tennessee, if I have that correct. And the International Christian Film Festival Award selection in 2024. And I know I've already said it, Stephanie, but just once more, can you tell our audience out there how they can see Undefiled?
Yes, it is free on Tubi. You can rent it on Amazon Prime. It's available on Apple TV and Roku, Hoopla. So yes, any medium you have, you probably have access to it.
Stephanie, what advice, as we're about to step out of here, this has been a great conversation, and I want to thank you for being on the show. What advice can you leave with young actors and actresses out there that are thinking about making a career of acting, particularly faith-based actors?
Yes. I would say to know if it's your calling by doing some work. So whether that's trying your hand at recreating scenes and scripts in your house with your own camera, and sharing them with your friends or on social media, creating your own work, seeing if you want to do that constantly, because that's what we do. I mean, to audition, I am here in my studio mostly by myself, having to create a scene and send it in. And if you don't want to do that all the time, that's the main work, is auditioning. Also getting in with a community theater or getting local film acting lessons, because some training does help. Never pay someone to get you auditions. Your talent agent works on commission.
Great
But
advice.
I would say if you try some of those things and you just can't stop and you just keep going with it, then you're called to it. So make some content and submit it to a talent agent. See what God's going to do.
Listen, Stephanie, that's great advice, because that's what it's like. I mean, I the cricket aspect of the audition, auditions that you get. I mean, they don't come nearly as often as you'd like. And then when they do start coming in, I mean, you have to beat people out, and you have to be willing to hang in there until you get one. And then you just got to keep grinding. You just got to keep grinding away at it. It's not an overnight success. I told friends when I started stand-up comedy, I said, after my first few shows, I said, I'm going to be on Letterman. And that didn't happen. The next year, I'm still, hoping, and he's not even on the air anymore. So it doesn't happen like that. You got to do the work. You have to be.
And you have to love the work. If you don't love the work, this isn't for you. I think that's just true.
This is the bottom line. You have to be patient, and you have to love it. That's it right there, Stephanie. You have to love what you're doing. And young people, take a hold of the advice that Stephanie Peterson just gave you. The number one piece of advice out of everything she just said, which was hugely important: love what you do. And if you do that, you're not going to quit.
That's right.
You're not going to quit. And then eventually things are going to start happening. How can our audience follow you on social media or by website, Stephanie?
Sure. If you go to Facebook and type in Stephanie Peterson Actress, you can find me there. On Instagram, I'm at Steffi Pete, STEPHIE, so Steffi Pete. So I try to make it pretty easy. I'm also on IMDb. You can find me there. Maurice, this has been so great.
Well, this has been a treat to have you on. Like I said, I first saw you in Vindication, and when I came upon you in Undefiled, I was telling you before we came on live, I'm like, I know her. I don't know you, but the episode that you were in Vindication, like I said, I've probably seen that episode of Vindication, and my wife will tell you, it's too many times. I've probably seen it at least 15 or 20 times. I mean, I just love that crime series. So I was like, oh, that's who that's it's her.
And I don't know how we didn't cross paths at ICFF, because I was there, you were there. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing you there. I was definitely there. I don't know how we missed each other.
Next time.
There were so many people there at ICFF and common friends in the industry that I ran across. And I were you hanging out with Venus and those guys?
A little bit. Yes. I was touching base with her. I was only there Friday and Saturday, so that could have been part of it as well.
Yeah, because I remember a couple of times Venus and Peggy and an entourage of other actresses. They were going out to a couple of different places and whatnot. You might have been in that group, and I didn't recognize you. But it certainly is an honor to meet you. And once again, congratulations to you on your nominations for Best Supporting Actress in Undefiled. And I'm sure there will be many more to come and wins as you have a bright future ahead of you. Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the show, and may the peace of Jesus Christ be with you and your family. God bless you.